Goes the Melee League. Raikou, coach of your Royal Raikous, finally bringing you these PRs that you've been asking for. Now, these PRs, I tried my best not to have any sort of bias. Of course, I am closer to a few people in the league than others, but I believe I would say I'm friends with all of them. They're all really great coaches. I really respect the hell out of everybody in this league. I think everyone's very nice, very good coaches, very good battlers, and it's a very fun league to be a part of. I'm really glad that Cole and Nick both were like, "Hey, come join this league during season one," and I did, and I've made some incredible friends and some really great battlers. So, but without further ado, these are the power rankings. Yet again, this is trying to be as unbiased as possible. This is strictly based on their drafts and what I think of the drafts. A few of these teams have changed due to some gosh diggity darn transactions, but not a lot of them. So looking at these teams, you can go ahead and see all of them. Let me know who you think would be the number one team for you. For me, I have my own opinions. And I'm going to go ahead and put myself at the number 10 slot. So you see myself, the Royal Raikous, in the top right hand corner there. Rockin'. Well, oops. Let's just go ahead and go to me. We can come back to the rosters. So you can see we started off 0-1, which is very unfortunate. But we have Gudra. Now with transactions, we have Iron Jugulus, Quaquaval, Sylveon, Skeledirge, Meowscarada, Clodsire, Jolteon, Articuno, and Zora H. Basically, it's 105 points to draft. 18 points is the max. 1 is the minimum. When you're drafting your Pokemon, you have 10 Pokemon. And we were the 4th draft. We originally had Cloyster, Kilowattrel, and Delibird, so those are going to be what I base this off of. I put myself at 10th because I don't think it's fair to rank myself within the ranks of everybody else. But that is the squad. I think we have a really good core here. I think Gudra, being my first round pick, probably could have waited on it for the second round, but I didn't want to have to deal with it because that thing is almost unkillable. It takes a lot. Can't be toxic except for by like Corrosion, Salazzle, or Glamora. And this thing's special defense is base 150. Defense, I believe, is base 110. So this thing is just absolutely nuts. On top of that, we had Cloyster, which is Shell Smash potential. Kilowattrel is a fast electric type off the ground. Delibird is Delibird. But really good core. We have all 3 of the starters from Gen 9, which I did that kind of for fun, but it also fit the team really well. Quaquaval being a water fighting type is really nice, especially with almost a free Dragon Dance if I pick up a kill with Aqua Step. With the Moxie boost as well as awesome. Sylveon is freaking Sylveon. Can't really beat that. Skeledirge having Unaware is really nice against any Pokemon that wants to set up against me. Meowscarada, crit flower tricks again. Any kind of screens, any kind of setup is really nice. Knockoff U-turn potential spikes, toxic spikes, really nice on that Meowscarada. Clodsire can also set up any kind of stealth rock, absorb those toxic spikes, which is really good to always have a grounded poison type in my opinion. And it's a bulky Pokemon with an immunity to water, so a ground type with an immunity to water is always fan-freaking-tastic in my opinion. Jolteon, base 130 speed, hits like a truck, that's about it. Articuno gets access to Freeze Dry, which is why I grabbed it, because there's a specific team that I really want to use Articuno against, and I think it's just overall a really good bulky pivot. And then Zora H, decently fast for a 1-point Pokemon, has the ability Illusion, so I can throw my opponents off maybe at the beginning of the game. That could maybe, I don't know, like snowball into me getting a victory. But that was basically the thought process there. Really great team. I'm really happy with it. But again, I don't think it's fair to rank myself within these videos. But in the number 9 slot, and again, I mean no offense by any of these picks, it's just my personal opinion, we have the Far West Ferds and Zentaf, and I don't want to reveal their battles because a few have happened because I'm recording this a bit late. But yeah, they won their first game. Congratulations, they beat BRG. And maybe they pilot this team in a way that I don't expect. I really love their logo. But they have Sneasler, Samurai, Hisuian, Zoroark Hisuian, Arcanine Hisuian, Zapdos, Avalok Hisuian, Appleton Hatterene, Fortress, and Toadscruel. Maybe I'm underestimating this team, but I think it is just really someone who really likes Hisuian Pokemon. I don't know if that's distracting me. I think it has decent Pokemon. Sneasler does not get Dire Claw in this league, so that is not allowed. So having that as a first round pick is interesting, but it's nice to have that grounded poison again, and a strong fighting type is always good to have on a team. Samrock can break through screens with its move, I believe, and a water dark type is really good. You're kind of getting that fighting dark psychic core that it's like a semi core. It's not as big as the water ground fire, the dragon steel fairy, but I do think it's important to have. Zorak has so many immunities and can throw your opponents off, just like the Zoro I was talking about earlier. Arcanine hits like a truck. Zapdos is a really good bulky pivot, and it helps with Arcanine's 4 times weakness to ground. Avalugg is just a freaking monster on the defensive side. Appleton, it's Appleton. I think my guy here just needed a dragon and a grass type, and Appleton fit the bill. Hatterene's a really strong fairy type with magic bounce potential. In order to not have any kind of hazard set up on their side of the field. Really good psychic and fairy type as well, so kind of completing that core. Also, a good fairy type is also nice. Also, Fortress completes the dragon fairy steel core. Getting that in rounds 7, 8, and 9 is absolutely huge. And then Toedscruel overall is just a really good ground type Pokemon. 4 times weak to ice, but I believe the rest of the team can cover that fairly easily. And then Spore potential is nice, and it might get Rapid Spin. I'm not really sure, but it's still a great Pokemon. A really good team. All the teams are really great, so this was very tough to do. But they are at my number 9 slot. I hate doing this. I don't like it. But number 8, we have the Boston Red Ghouls here, BRG. Let's find them, and they are the team that lost to the Far West First. They originally had Mimikyu and Gabite when I did this. Instead of Squawkabilly and Quagsire. So, I do like Quagsire on this team. I think it's a really nice addition. This is actually my opponent, who I will be battling here in a few days. So, they have Urshifu Water, which in itself makes this team really good. Kleavor, Cyclizar, Diancie, Espeon, Oricorio, Pom Pom, which is the electric one, Quagsire, Grimmsnarl, Orthworm, and Squawkabilly. I don't see Squawkabilly ever coming to a match. I really don't. Orthworm's good, but it loses to a special defensive hit. I think Grimmsnarl in round 8 is absolutely phenomenal. With the addition of Parting Shot on this thing, it just becomes a menace, and being able to set screens can really destroy an opponent. The only problem with it is there is no ghost type on this team. I think because Brick Break is a thing. Psychic Fangs is also a thing, and you are a dark type, but you have no immunities to Brick Break, so that screens will stay on the field, which I think is a bit of an issue there, but the Parting Shot potential is still there. The Prankster T-Waves can also make or break some games, but let's start at the top again. Urshifu Water, can break through protects. Surging Strikes is nuts, especially with the Terra Water, a crit move that hits 3 times to break any kind of potential Focus Sash. Also gets a wide range of moves. Decent speed. I believe its speed is 97, so that's pretty good. Kleavor can set up and sweep decently slow. Doesn't have a lot of weaknesses, which I thought this thing was a different type than what it was. But that thing can be an absolute menace if not dealt with quickly. Cyclizar is good. It's good for Shed Tail Regenerator, good Dragon Stab, and good Normal Stab. But it does have a fair bit of weaknesses that are very common, I would say. And 121 speed, it's really good speed tier, but for that being your fastest Pokemon, it gets outsped by quite a bit, especially on my team specifically. Meowscarada outspeeds it. So Cyclizar is still a really good Pokemon though, and something not to sneasel at. So just beware of that. I believe it also gets access to Breaking Swipe, and I know that's less used in singles, but it could come. I think it's a really cool pick, and I'm hoping I get to see it in our battle, or I get to see it in future battles, because I'm really excited to see how they pilot it. Diancie is a threat. The Diancie Espeon Magic Bounce core there is very scary, especially with Open Terra. Diancie does have that 4 times weakness to Steel, but with Terra, you can change that very quickly into a Water Terra or even Steel Terra, and you just start to annihilate things, especially when you have a 50% chance to get a +2 defense boost. Diancie can be a huge problem, so that is something to keep in mind when facing this opponent. Espeon, I think, is really good, a really strong psychic type, again with Magic Bounce, to kind of help with the limited removal on this team. Your best removal is arguably Cyclizar with Rapid Spin. But if you don't want to switch Cyclizar in, um, you really can't. I mean, you have Espeon or Diancie with Magic Bounce, which is really, really nice. Plus, it's decently fast, decently defensive, and hopefully it goes well because I really do like Espeon. It's arguably one of my favorite evolutions. Oricorio, I think, is just there for an electric type and for a defogger, a backup to the rapid spin. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe this team has more potential than I thought. Mimikyu was originally on this team, but they dropped it for Quagsire. I think Quagsire does add a lot to this team because setup really destroys this team and it almost becomes reliant on Terra. And I believe that is why I put it in the number 8 spot. Any kind of setup can kind of body minus like a Scarf or some kind of shenanigans in prep. But I do think you're very reliant on your Terra and Terraing at the correct time, and that is why I put you at number 8. This is going forever, so I'm going to try to speed it up. Number 7, we have the Miami Palafins, and myself, not myself, but their name is myself. They actually beat me week 1, so funny enough, it was a 1-0. And they had Blissey and Klefki, which Klefki did not come, but Blissey actually picked up 2 kills against me, which was absolutely nuts. They have Great Tusk, Corviknight, now Cloyster, Rotom Wash, Crocodile, Poltegeist, now Chansey, Delphox, Noivern, and Tropius. Maybe I underestimated this team. Very strong. They have Rapid Spin and Great Tusk, Defog, and Corviknight, which is really nice. Now they have Setup and Cloyster and Poltegeist. They have 2 Shell Smash users, both one Frail on the special defensive side and one Frail on the physical side, so I think that was a really good pickup for them. But originally, when I ranked these, they had Blissey and Klefki. I think what this team lacked is like a Ditto or some kind of unaware Pokemon to help them against setup. Like if a team were to set up against them on the physical side, Blissey was going to have no way of tanking it. They would have to rely on Corviknight, and any kind of Terra Fire could have just wrecked their day. I really love to see that Delphox got drafted. I think it's a very strong Pokemon, especially now with the agility addition to its move pool. Noivern can set off Terra Normal Boom Burst, which is just nuts in my opinion, especially with a 123 base speed, I believe. I think Tropius just is there because, I mean, Tropius is 1 point and you have to pick up something. Tropius has some niche. I almost picked it up myself, but we'll see if they ever bring it. The reason I put this team at number 7 is because I believe it is missing that big component of, hey, what do I do if my opponent sets up against me? How do I beat that? And yeah, I think they have some defensive pivots, but really good prep can beat this team any day of the week. I think this team has some holes. Also, 2 ground types is kind of concerning. And yeah, I think this team is just very knockoff weak and very pivot weak. If you can pivot around your opponent and you can set up on something like the Blissey or something like a Klefki, or maybe even Noivern, like if you have a ghost type that can set up, I think you are just sitting very, very, very pretty. So that is why I ranked this team at number 7. My wife is staring at me and it's slightly making me uncomfortable. It's stressing me out a little bit. Number 6, we have the New York Kicks and Mach. Where are they? Where are they? Down here. New York Kicks. Here they are. And they have Volcanion, Landorus T, Mew, Muckalolan, Pelipper, Floatzel, Electrode H, Scyther, Basculegion, Female, Floatzel, and Scyther. The reason I ranked this team at number 6 is because I think they have a really strong core at the very beginning, their first 3. And Volcanion, Landorus T, and Mew, I think are both super, super good. And then Pelipper and Floatzel is also amazing. Floatzel in the rain, Wave Crash, Terra Water is just absolutely nuts. But I do think their draft kind of falls off. They have a lot of water types, and yeah, they fixed it with their transactions that they made. But at the time, at the time of ranking, any kind of Stealth Rock really, really, really hurts this team. I mean, it does 50% on Scyther. It's going to hurt the Floatzel that's already frail. Pelipper takes 25%. I don't know if Landorus does. I think Landorus might take it. Volcanion takes 25%. And that was like my main thing, is this team does not have enough removal in order to suffice that weakness. I think Volcanion's a really good Pokemon, one of the only ones with Scald. And pairing that with Landorus, I think any kind of physical mon is going to have trouble with this team. But on the special side, I think this team can just lose. Maybe Muckalola helps with that, but I think it's overall a really good team. Like I said, I think the biggest problem with it is there is a problem with hazards, but I think they fixed that with their transactions and then a lack of potential setup. Mew can set up, uh, floats will get set up by the rain, and I think that's really it. I don't know if Volcanic gets like Nasty Plot. I think Landers gets Swords Dance. Um, but other than that, there's not a lot of setup in order to sweep potential. This team seems like a chip away, chip away, chip away, and then something can come in and just do 50% to everything and end up killing them. So that is why I ranked it at number 6. Also, the lack of defensive pivots besides Mew and Muck. Um, and maybe I'm mistaken. Again, I don't like doing this because I am not like the end all be all. But at number 5, we have the East Bay Earthquakes and Cole. Cole, who actually made huge transactions for their Week 2 match. They drafted Roaring Moon, Heatran, the Water Tauros, Donphan, Scizor, Articuno, Galarian, Jolteon, Lycanroc, Dusk, Leafeon, Morgrem. They ended up dropping Jolteon. That's how I ended up getting it because I wanted it originally, grabbed Kilowattrel, but I went back and grabbed it on my transactions. So Cole is a very strong team here. I mean, Roaring Moon did wonders for me last season, and seeing Cole drafted made me extremely happy. It's a very strong, very fast Pokemon, especially with Booster Energy Acrobatics. Sorry, I had to take a drink there. And it has that 4-time weakness to Fairy, but can easily be mitigated with a Terra. And I believe Cole did a really good job in grabbing 2 Fairy Resistances. I believe it's just 2. Let me double check. Yeah, 2 Fairy Resistances, 1 4 times in Heatran, and then Scizor with the 2 times, who are both decently bulky to help with that Fairy weakness if they don't want a Terra. Heatran is an outstanding Pokemon, very bulky, has that 4 times weakness to ground, and this is kind of where you'll see this is why I ranked this team where I did. This is kind of why I ranked this team where I did, because this team does have some 3 Pokemon that have 4 times weaknesses. In Roaring Moon and Fairy, Heatran is 4 times weak to ground, Scizor is 4 times weak to fire, which I think could be taken advantage of. And Jolteon is very frail. Helps with the speed. I think this team is decently fast. But again, this is another team that is very knockoff weak. I think knockoff and pivots kind of hurt this team a lot. If you get out pivoted, I think you just lose the match. I think this team has good setup and bulk up Tauros, Scizor Swords Dance, and Lycanroc just doing Accelerock work. Roaring Moon Dragon Dancing, I didn't even mention that. I think all of those are really great setups, but again, the 4 times weaknesses is why I ranked this as low as I did. And I think when you had Jolteon, I think having that and just almost being able to spam Earthquake against this team was huge. Like Earthquake and then Articuno comes in, and what is I don't see Articuno Galarian being a very good Pokemon, and for that being your only flying type or Levitate user, I think that kind of put the damper on this team. But overall, really solid squad. I'm very excited to see it in action. Very happy with the priority. I'm very excited to see Cole use Roaring Moon. Maybe copy a few of my strategies because I know Roaring Moon put in a lot of work for me last season. At number 4, this might be controversial, but I put Nikki G in the Hearthome Hellhounds as the number 4 pick. And yeah, they won their first match 5-0, which is very impressive. And Nick is an incredible battler. I just don't understand the team. I think that is the main thing. I mean, you can see the team right there. I think Arcanine's a great pickup. I think Sandy Shocks is a really great ground type and an electric type, so I think that was amazing. The problem with this team is I fear that you will never see Seviper. Like, you have 10 slots, and I think Seviper might be used, but it's very unlikely. Enamorus is a really great fairy type. King Gambit can come in and sweep, especially with the Supreme Overlord, or even the Defiant boost is nice. Slow King to set up Titan if you want to go Slush Rush shenanigans. I feel as though Titan is good, but it's not as good as maybe I wanted it to be, or most people want it to be. So we'll see if Nick pivots it in a way. You can see Arcanine picks up 3 kills, which is absolutely insane. Arcanine is just an amazing Pokemon, so great pickup by Nick. I think Slowking is a very bulky, really great pivot. Serena helps with any kind of priority that wants to come that way. Also, is the only rapid spinner on this team. Drifblim might get defog. I don't think it does, but Stealth Rocks really hurts this team. Like you can see, Slitherwing picked up a kill, Arcanine picked up 3, and King Gambit. 2 of those really weak to Stealth Rock. But that was really my only issue with this team. Is it's another team where you can just kind of click EQ, you can click rock moves, and then Enamorus has to come in, and even then, like you click rock moves, and Enamorus can die because it's not super bulky, because it is the incarnate form, it's not the Therian form, but it's very fast and it's a very strong Pokemon. I'm excited to see how Nick uses this. And yeah, we're going to go to the number 3 in the Brooklyn Paradox and New. Now, this is a team that I'm very excited to see how it plays out. Yeah, they lost to Nick in their first match, and I've ranked them higher, but I think New is still getting used to the team. It's a very good core in Torkoal, which everybody was going for Torkoal round 1. Lilligant, Walking Wake, Enamorus, T, Typhlosion, Hisuian, Uxie, Meloetta, Grafaiai, Tinkaton, and Primeape. The problem with this team, I think, is you fall into 6 or 7 Mon Syndrome. And you really are reliant on the sun. Like any kind of weather that goes against you really hurts your team, because Lilligant, I wouldn't say relies on the sun, but it really likes it. Victory Dance is a really great and strong setup move. And even in the sun, it makes it even better. So I think Lilligant might be arguably the best Pokemon on this team for setting up. Walking Wake is just a threat in itself. 104 base speed is really nice. And then you put that in the sun, it's even faster, even stronger, and can fire off water type moves and do double damage. Is just nuts. Enamorus Tree is a great bulky pivot. I don't know what it does. I feel the problem I have with Enamorus Therian, and I almost drafted it. Like Nick was like, "Oh yeah, it would look great on your team," but it's a support. It has support stats with no support moves, and that's what led me away from it. Typhlosion, Hisuian, I love this Pokemon. Scarf Eruptions in the sun are just going to hit everything. Flash Fire really hurts this team, though. Uxie is a really strong Pokemon, another defensive pivot. I don't know much about Meloetta. I think it's strong. I don't know. Grafaiai, grounded poison type, not really going to live any kind of hit, or I don't really see this thing coming very often unless Toxic Spikes are a huge threat. Tinkaton is an amazing Pokemon, especially to get in round 9. A Fairy Steel type to kind of help with your Dragon Fairy Steel Core. Double Fairy types, but this one's not weak to poison, which is really, really nice. Or Steel. And then Primeape is Primeape. I don't see a point in drafting Primeape, even with the Eviolite. It's not really doing too much. There's not a lot wrong with this team. I think the biggest weakness is that Lilligant and Walking Wake, your 2 biggest Sun abusers, are both weak to the same typing, and that is Fairy. Yeah, you have Tinkaton to resist it, as well as Typhlosion, and Torkoal. You have some resistances, but Typhlosion is not the bulkiest. Torkoal, I mean, doesn't want to take 2 hits. It's very slow. Doesn't want to take 2 hits on the special side, especially. Primeape's weak to it. Grafaiai is not going to take any kind of hit, and so your best bet would probably be Uxie, and then Uxie doesn't do anything back. Uxie gives you nothing and gives your opponent the chance to set up. So that is why this team is number 3. I think it has very strong potential, very strong sweeping potential, but if your opponent can outbulk your sweep, I think then you just end up losing the match. So that is why I have ranked this team at number 3. At number 2, we have 2 teams left. We have the Georgetown Gengar and the Spiritly Spiritombs. And at number 2, we have the Spiritly Spiritombs and Coach Dewey. Now, this team, I love this logo as well. Drafted it at a monster team in Dragonite, Tinglu, Ironmoth, Goldengo, Amoonguss, Screamtail, Barraskewda, Raichu, Tauros Peak, Combat, and Frostmoth. I think Frostmoth was an amazing pick, especially with the Terra. Quiver Shenanigans could be coming, and I think that is awesome for Dewey. Dragonite, Terra Normal, E-Speed is just a threat, as well as Multiscale. You can run really whatever you want there. Tinglu, Stealth Rock, Whirlwind. I mean, we've all played against the Tinglu and raged a little bit because that thing just does not die. It doesn't matter what you do, the thing doesn't die. Iron Moth, very strong sweeping potential. A fire poison type, 4 times weak to that ground type, but I believe you have enough answers here to deal with that. Another team where ground is really good, but you get access to Energy Ball. So Iron Moth is just a very strong Pokemon, especially with Terra. It's really nice, and it pairs well with Ting Lu. Goldango in the 4th round was absolutely shocking. I almost grabbed it myself, but I decided against it due to points and what I wanted to do in the future of my draft. Being a Steel type and being immune to Fighting type moves is huge. Another Pokemon weak to that Ground typing, but it's freaking Goldango. Do I even have to talk about it? Amoonguss is a great pivot with Regenerator, Spore, anything like that. It doesn't do a lot offensively, but its defensive capabilities make it a worthwhile pick. Screamtail, again, another bulky Pokemon. Barraskewda just absolutely nukes things, especially if you're going against Rain and you want to set up Rain yourself. It just completely nukes. Raichu is a good pivot mon, very strong electric type, very frail, but can set off nuzzles and any kind of shenanigans like that. Tauros, good Intimidate, strong fighting type, not much else to say. Can set up bulky, can set up physically, doesn't matter. This thing can wreck your day if you're not careful. And then again, Frostmoth, Quiver Dance shenanigans, Terra Water, Terra Fire, doesn't matter. With the Ice Scales ability, this thing will be hard to kill. So overall, really good team. As you can see, I'm trying very hard to hurry this up because I've been going for quite a while now. So that means the Georgetown Gengar and Sage are my number 1 pick here. Number 1 ranked team here, and Iron Valiant is the main reason behind that. Iron Valiant is arguably the best Pokemon in draft. I believe this person got the first pick of the draft, and Iron Valiant was gone, which makes a lot of sense to me. Iron Valiant is just amazing. Fairy and Fighting Stab. You can run it mixed, you can run it special, you can run it physical. It doesn't matter. Very fast. This Pokemon just nukes anything that it wants to. Tornadus T is a great regenerator Pokemon. Can hit like a truck and can switch out and take a lot of hits. Iron Treads, great removal, great ground type, great for setting rocks up if you want to. I think it was perfect. Helps. It can eat some hits. Sorry, stumbling over my words here. Azelf is a very fast, very strong Pokemon that can set up nasty plots and has the move pool to really just hit anything. And with the ability Levitate, helps with the ground weakness for Iron Treads as well as Tornadus, and makes it to where you can't just Earthquake spam. And then there's Zarude. Zarude is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. A Dark type. With the grass typing, it's 4 times weak to U-turn, which is something that my opponent the Georgetown Gengar here in Sage need to be careful of because Azelf is also weak to it, but I believe the rest of the team really helps with that. Zarude is a very strong, very fast Pokemon on the physical side, so something not to take lightly. Rotom Heat is a very good pivot, really only weak to that rock typing, which is absolutely nuts. Another Levitate Pokemon, so ground type Pokemon do not have a fun time. Gastrodon is good for the Storm Drain, only weak to that grass type, which I believe my opponent here has a lot of answers to grass types. And then Dragalge. I feel like the whole team was built around Dragalge, honestly. Has that dragon weakness, has that ground weakness, but I mean, you have 2 Levitate Pokemon. You have Zarude to resist it, and then you have Tornadus, which is just a flying type Pokemon. So Dragalge doesn't really have too many weaknesses on this against this team. Psychic kind of goes nuts, but then you have Zarude. And then Ice Cube for Belly Drum shenanigans is just a great setup mon, especially for the 9th round pick, and as little points as it was worth. Is great to have. And then Jump Bluff for Sleep Powder shenanigans, and anything you really want to do. You can run Acrobatics. It might be able to do a little bit of damage, but can really mess up an opponent's setup. So yeah, I tried to go a bit quicker. Those are that's my power rankings. Here are all the teams again. Let me know where you would rank everybody. This is on the MML channel, so hopefully a few battles will be uploaded here, a few live streams. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, because Nick and Cole are absolutely fantastic people, and all the battles are really great, really fun, and I hope you all stick around to see some of them that are uploaded on the channel. Not everybody is creating content. I know that Cole has made his own channel for the East Bay Earthquakes, and I know Nick uploads all his battles to this channel, and I believe the Boston Red Goals will upload a few on here, and I don't know about everybody else, but hopefully more battles will be uploaded here as well. But again, I have been Raikustic. Make sure to like and subscribe onto the MML. Also, if you want to check out me, I also upload these videos. I believe I already uploaded my week 1, so make sure to check that out. And then yeah, hopefully more MML content is coming your way, and that I can be a part of this and you journey with me. So thanks for watching, and see y'all next time. Peace.